What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Antonio Chauran Sports Podcast. Interesting video for you all today, but isn't every video that I make interesting? At least it should be to you. This is actually a video I already came out with. Well, not really a video. I did a TikTok about this particular topic that I'm going to be covering today, where I basically give my top 10 NFL quarterbacks going into this season. Um, I could have done a better job at explaining the criteria because this was the most engaged and just overall the most successful post I've had on TikTok so far. Leading up into it, I was like 2, 3 days ago. Um, I did like a few honorable mentions. And we're going to get into the list. We'll get into it, and I'll be able to get more in depth with it in comparison to TikTok. Um, a lot of comments. It almost 10,000 views, I think, on this one. And I did a carousel where it is just like photos and then you just swipe where I do honorable mentions and then 10 through 1. That's how I did it. Um, and I did in my description, that was actually kind of where I did more of the explanation as to why I had certain QBs in certain spots. I don't know how many people like actually read my description because some of the answers are there for some questions that I saw or just like some differences in opinion that some of these people had, which is fine. Obviously, my list is just my opinion. It's not like set, and there's no right list, right? Like, just like there's no right sports opinion for anything, it's all subjective, of course. Now, there are some more that are maybe more popular or more agreed upon in comparison to others. Um, but yeah, I mean, I liked my list. A lot of people agreed with it, but there are also some that didn't, which is fine. Um, I feel like the criteria was a little bit up in the air, and that was my fault. I could have been more specific in terms of like what gets you into a certain spot. So there were some guys that were on a certain spot in the list where people were like, well, if we're just talking about what happened this last season and going into this season, why is this person there? Maybe they should be higher, maybe they should be lower. And there are certain guys that, okay, maybe they didn't perform as well last season, but where they are in their career and what they have done in recent years, I feel like should also be taken into consideration. So, spoiler alert, Patrick Mahomes, I have as number one. Okay? I don't think you guys are shocked by that. That's okay for me to say before I get into the list. But the thing is, a lot of people were like, well, if we're going based off of last season, he should be like fourth or fifth. Here's my thing. I'm not saying that all of the regular numbers were there. Like, I think he was what? He had like 26 touchdowns to 11 or something like that. And people are like, oh, so many guys had better seasons than him. Like Lamar Jackson had a better season. Josh Allen had a better season. Okay, maybe for the regular season, yeah. And you can't knock too much on Lamar about losing to the Bills because Mark Andrews catches that ball, they probably win that game. But that's not what happened. So he gets knocked out in the divisional round. Josh Allen wins, comes to the AFC Championship game, and the Chiefs beat him. Patrick Mahomes beats him. So my thing is like, and keep in mind too the the overall context of that season for the Chiefs. Hollywood Brown, who we acquired in that offseason, got injured in training camp and he didn't make it back into the team till like towards the end of the season. Rashee Rice got knocked out in the fourth game of the season and was out for the entirety of that entire year, for the remainder of that year. Pacheco was out like the first like 2/3 of the season. Travis Kelce was having a down year, and we still made it to the Super Bowl, but the regular season numbers weren't there. It's not. just I feel like people get too fixated on these regular season numbers. I get it, cool, but at the same time, you got to look at the totality of the season. And look, even with that being the case, think of the context as well with Patrick Mahomes. He was going for his third straight Super Bowl win, not just appearance, win. Because the last two Super Bowls before last year, he won those and was Super Bowl MVP for both seasons. I understand that was the 21-22 season, or no, it was the 22-23 season and the 23-24 season. This wasn't this past season, but that's still close enough to where you have to be like, oh yeah, this guy is still, he has to be number one. Duh. And so I feel like people were like, well, why take that into consideration if this is just from the last season? Because context matters, people. It matters. Now, I will also give this caveat as well. There is one player on my top 10 list where that can be a little contradictory. Just hear me out once I give the list. Again, it's not just about, in my opinion, regular season numbers. There's context to it. Okay, so I'm laying that out to let you know how this is going to go and why I have it the way I do. Okay, so we're going to start honorable mentions. First honorable mention I have is Baker Mayfield. I got a lot of slack for this. A lot of people were like, Baker should be top 10 already. A lot of people were like, how are you going to have Baker not ahead of these guys? And you know what? I was like, valid. I think that's a fair argument to make because the last two seasons when he's been in Tampa Bay, he's been playing great. I have his stats right here. His first season in Tampa Bay, threw for over 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, average quarterback rating of 94.6. Both seasons while when he was in Tampa, he made it to the playoffs as well. He actually won his first playoff game in Tampa. Averaged well through his two games, I'm sorry, six touchdowns to two interceptions. Average quarterback rating of 106.3. I'm sorry. His QBR was 50, but like the other like rating itself is like a lot higher. QBR of 50.1, which isn't bad. And then 23 regular season QBR 55.1. This past season, threw for 4,500 yards, 4,500 yards. Threw for 41 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. He was tied for second in the NFL in touchdown passes and was third in passing yards. Pretty good. That's pretty freaking good. Flamed out in the playoffs that first game. Who did they play that first game? Washington. That's right. They lost 23-20. Remember that, guys. So look, Baker has an argument. He absolutely has an argument, especially given the fact that they were dealing with a lot of injuries at the time. Um, I think he continues that momentum, third straight season. He's going to be in the top 10 for sure. There's no reason for him not to, especially if other guys that I have above him currently um, fall in their play. So that's the first honorable mention, Baker Mayfield. The other honorable mention I have, and this also stirred some controversy, Justin Herbert. I don't think that's a secret to you guys that watch my channel because I have been very persistent in the fact that I think Justin Herbert is severely overhyped. Severely. And why do I say severely? Because I feel like any offseason I hear from sports media is that, oh, Justin Herbert's going to have a great year. This could be the year that the Chargers, knock off the Chiefs, this, that, and the other, even before Jim Harbaugh got there. But Has that happened? No. Let's go over Justin Herbert's stats. Now, again, I said this before I even got to my actual list. You can't just look at the regular season stats. You can. You have to look at the totality of what this guy did, either from the last season or from the prior seasons, and how he's been able to carry momentum season by season. Um, the 23 season, he was hurt. I do remember that. And even then, he put up some decent numbers, 3,134 yards, passing yards, 20 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. This past season, he was healthy. First year under Jim Harbaugh, 3,870 yards, 23 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. I cannot tell you how many freaking times I heard, oh my God, he only threw 3 interceptions. He led the league in interceptions thrown and blah, blah, blah. Cool. What happened against the Texans in that wild card game? He threw 4 interceptions. He threw more interceptions in one game than he did the entire regular season. In a playoff game where it's do or die, where if you play like shit, you're out. That's how that works. And look, I don't want to make it seem like I have anything against Justin Herbert. I actually think he's a great quarterback. He's a great talent. But can we get off of the Herbert train just a smidge right now? Just slow it down because he's played in 2 playoff games and he's lost both of them for in embarrassing fashion. One where they were beating the Jaguars 27 to nothing and proceed to lose that game 31 to 30. What was that? The 22 playoffs, I think. And then he just lost his past playoffs to the Texans in a CJ Stroud team who, again, he had a down season last season, CJ Stroud, an amazing rookie year. And then the sophomore slump really hit him. But I still think he's a great quarterback, which is why I have him at number 10. Starting the top 10 now. We're off at the honorable mentions. But yeah, that's my thing with Justin Herbert. A lot of people were like, it was either one or the other. People were like, finally a guy that doesn't have Justin Herbert in his top 10, or people are like, how do you not have Herbert over like these other guys? Again, I told you. I just showed you. Give him time to come in. I'm not saying he can't be a top 10 quarterback. I'm not saying that. But as of right now, no, he's not. So, anyways, CJ Stroud, we talked about him just barely right now. Not great numbers this past year. Not at all. But despite that, he still led his team to the second round of the playoffs. But let's just look at his stats real quick. Going back to his rookie year, just 2 seasons ago, threw for 4,108 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Pretty solid. And he took his team to the playoffs. He's been consistent. Through 2 years, he's won at least one playoff game. Um, but again, a lot of people were like, "Look, CJ Stroud, he's young. This is only his coming into his third year, and this past season, he lost all of his momentum because he played like crap, which he did. Threw 20 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. Not great at all. It's a little bit over a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, and you don't want that. Um, Again, though, I still think even with that being the case, he has still been able to perform under the brightest lights in comparison to the other guys that I had him ahead of. I understand he's only going into his third season, but I feel like he's been able to do more in a shorter amount of time, um, in taking that momentum in to this season in comparison to those other 2 guys that I just talked about. Again, Baker, I'm not thinking about his time in Cleveland. And I know he kind of went through like a little journeyman phase after Cleveland, going to Carolina, and then he went to the Rams for like half a season. That's where he kind of started to get back into the Baker that we know and love. And then those past 2 seasons in Tampa, he's been balling out. And look, I was really in between CJ or Baker for that 10 spot. But I was going off talent. I just think CJ has more of a raw talent than Baker does, but Baker's been able to put up the numbers and really back it up over those past 2 seasons in comparison to CJ, who just had that great rookie season. Despite that, I think the playoff numbers are important. I feel like being able to still perform in the playoffs is important. And he's been able to make it to the divisional round 2 years in a row as a rookie. And think about what he was coming into when he became the Texans quarterback. I mean, they were horrible when he came in, and he was able to turn that franchise around. Tampa Bay was already respectable by the time Baker got there. They already had um, Mike Evans, they had Godwin, they had a solid defense, and Todd Bowles is a respectable head coach, right? I know it's not the same Tampa when Tom Brady was there, but you know, it was a better situation for Baker for him to kind of come in and be able to work. And then when CJ got there, he helped rebuild that alongside um, D'Amico, Ryan's they're building something good there, but CJ is a crucial part of that. So that's also part of this context that I'm talking about that I feel like is just really important. You got to take into consideration. So that is why I have CJ number 10. Number nine, Jordan Love. Um, got some controversy, got some pushback here. A lot of people were like, 10, 9, and 8, people are like Baker better than all three of those guys, or Justin Herbert's better than all three of those guys. Currently, right now, I don't think so. So Jordan Love, let's look at him now. Again, I think another young quarterback, right? Interesting start to his career because it was delayed due to Aaron Rodgers. Um, but his first 2 seasons as a starter, solid numbers. 23 season, 4,159 yards, so 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. This past season, 25 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 3,389 yards. Now, he only played 15 games. He was out a few games. Um, and look, a lot of people think he's overhyped. I don't think he is. I think he's a solid quarterback. I think people think he's overhyped because I still think there's some stigma to even drafting him to begin with when the Packers did because they still had a pretty solid playing Aaron Rodgers at the time. But these last 2 seasons under Matt LaFleur, he's been able to take his team to the playoffs. He's been able to perform. They he won a playoff game not last season, the season before. Um, put up 5 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, 466 yards in that little small run there. Last season, they went up against the Eagles. The Eagles were boat racing everybody except the Rams. I honestly thought the Rams were going to take them out. That was the only team that seemed to actually put up a freaking fight against the Eagles last season. They were just on a heater. Um, I just think again, when it comes to the talent, I think it's there, and you're going to see a common trend where there are a lot of guys on this list, maybe towards the end of the top 10, that have had early success so far in the playoffs in the regular season, but they're young and you're also seeing that talent. And I feel like that's important. And you can say Justin Herbert kind of falls into that realm, but the success isn't there when it comes to the playoffs. At least these guys ahead of Herbert have won playoff games already. Herbert has not, and he has severely underperformed in both of them. So Jordan Love there, a number 9. Number 8, I have Jared Goff. And if Jared Goff was the Rams Goff, he wouldn't be on this top 10 list. I understand he took his team to the Super Bowl. Important to do. Um, but he wasn't putting up the numbers like he is right now. He just simply isn't. And you look at his last few seasons in Detroit. In the 23 season, I mean, these last 2 seasons, their offense has been stupid, on fire. 4,575 yards throwing, 30 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. This season, even better, increasing all numbers, 4,629 yards, 37 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. I mean, yeah, the guy's been an absolute baller. Now, do you want to attribute that to the offense that he's been able to, be blessed with? Absolutely. But he's also been a big reason why they've been able to win. I think the knock on Jared Goff, one, is that they're like, oh, what? In that offense, anyone can do that. But I respect the fact that when he got traded from LA to Detroit, people were just like so quick to be like, oh yeah, his career's over. He's going to Detroit. Are you kidding me? And then you're getting Matt Stafford, almost kind of like a get out of jail free card, it seemed like. And that's how a lot of us viewed it back when the trade happened. Going from Detroit to LA, going to Sean McVay, a great team. They win the Super Bowl the first season he's there, like, oh my God. And then Jared Goff is just kind of like shoot away. And you see the complete 180 that not only Jared Goff takes, but the entire Detroit Lions franchise. They have had more success under Jared Goff than they did with Matt Stafford. Now, it's not just because of Jared Goff. I don't want to make it seem like that's the reason why, but he's a big part of that. And the numbers are there. The playoff success is there. I mean, he was able to make it all the way to the NFC Championship game in the 23-24 season. All should have won that game. Let's be honest, the Niners should not have won that game. But, you know, they choked, unfortunately. Not the type of playoff success that they wanted this past season, obviously losing to the Vikings. Um, but, I still think, I'm sorry, not the Vikings, the Commanders. Um, it's just been something that I feel like people need to put more respect on, specifically with Jared Goff. Um, so yeah, I feel like if you guys like got a nickel every time I said context in this video, you guys would be rolling in the dough. I'm not gonna try to say too much, but again, it's important, guys. Context is important. So that's why I have Jared Goff currently at number 8. Number 7, I have Matthew Stafford. He's 37 years old. Understand that. He's the oldest quarterback on this list. However, like I mentioned, the Rams were the only team to give the Eagles a run for their money. And honestly, I thought the Rams were going to win that game. I really did. Um, they didn't, obviously. And sorry, I'm just pulling up his numbers now just so I give you guys accurate data. Um, Not overwhelming stats in the regular season, which again, that's not what makes this list or regular season numbers. And I don't know why people think that. I think that's dumb. You can make your list on that. Fine. I'm not going to do my list like that. 24 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. That's in the 23 season, 23-24 season. Threw for almost 4,000 yards, just 35 yards shy of that. This past season, 3,762 yards, 20 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Kind of pedestrian for Matt Stafford. Nothing crazy. Um, but again, I feel like that little bit of a playoff push, because I feel like people weren't really thinking that the Rams were going to be a playoff threat. Um, he still performed really well this past postseason. 4 touchdowns to no interceptions combined with these 2 games, 533 yards. Um, they came up against that buzzsaw with Philly. And again, also keep in mind that first game they went up against the Vikings, who, I mean, leading up into, the start of the postseason, it was either Detroit or Minnesota that were going to take the NFC North, two battle weight teams at the time. And obviously we know what happened then. And they end up losing that game 27-9. Sam Darnold turns into a pumpkin, right? And then he's shipped off to Seattle. Um, but Matt Stafford had a really solid game. Again, just a smart game. You don't need to put up stupid numbers to be a great quarterback. All you got to do is just win, right? And he did that. And again, they should have won that game against Philly. They didn't. And I feel like the Eagles celebrated that game a little bit too early when Saquon busted out for that one run, that one touchdown run, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's over." But then it was still a game after that somehow. So, um, I think that really helped Matt Stafford. And currently, right now, if I needed a one or done game, I would pick Matt Stafford over those other guys behind him. I would take him over Jared Goff. I would take him over Jordan Love. I would take him over CJ Stroud right now. Absolutely, 100%. And even the honorable mention guys. So, Matt Stafford there. Number 6. All right. So this is we're at the guy where I said in the beginning, I'm like, look, I understand it's not just based off one season. There's context. You need to, maybe have somewhat of a resume as well. Well, damn it, I didn't think about that when it came to number 6, Jaden Daniels. Context is going to be a little bit heavy on this one, but I feel like it's valid. Jaden Daniels came into a Washington Commanders team that had been riddled with controversy. His number one guy, Terry McLaurin, in I don't know how long he's been in Washington, at least 10 years, has had 14 different quarterbacks throwing to him in his entire career with Washington. That's not good. Like, you shouldn't have that many guys throwing you the ball. He came into a franchise where the owner had just recently gotten pushed out because he was just straight up a horrible human being, horrible owner, driving this franchise to the ground. Finally got bullied out of being the owner and selling the franchise to great owners now, seems like, who got their shit together, unlike him. And he puts this team essentially on his back and takes them all the way to a conference championship game since the 90s as a rookie. Highly sought after rookie as well. Played amazing at LSU. Goes to a Washington team that had not seen success like this in 30 plus years. And he does it as a rookie. You're damn right I'm going to have number six on this list. You are damn right. Regular season numbers as a rookie, solid. 3,568 uh, passing yards, 25 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Here's this though. And this is something that I feel like is really important. He won games during that regular season a variety of ways, whether they were comebacks, blowouts, or close games. He won, let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 games by a touchdown or less as a rookie. Do you have any idea how hard it is to win games that close, that pressurized, let alone as just an NFL quarterback, but as a rookie? That's that's hard to do. And with the numbers he was able to put up in the playoffs, that first game against Tampa Bay, against a Baker Mayfield led team that he was having a career year. They were on fire at that point offensively. They win that game 23 to 20. He put up 268 passing yards, almost 70% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Against Detroit, who at that point was, I mean, even before the season had even started, going into that season, they were Super Bowl favorites, highly sought Super Bowl favorites. He throws 22 of 31, 71% completion percentage, basically 300 yards, 299, 2 touchdowns to one or to no interceptions. QBR of 91.8. Then they get blown out by the Eagles. That happened. Even then, though, his numbers weren't horrible. Now he threw the ball a bunch. He had almost 50 attempts, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Yeah, they got romped that game. But my point is, the numbers are there for the regular season as well as the playoffs. But just coming into a Washington franchise that had just been a laughing stock for so long. I mean, they're saving grace for like 3 or 4 seasons was Taylor Heineke. No hate, no shade. He's, great story, great guy to root for, but like that's your guy. And then Jaden Daniels comes in and he's like, I got this. Just with the poise that he comes in with, the professionalism. He's got a good head on his shoulders. I think he's Washington got their guy, 100%. And I think when I put it to you that way, when I explain it to you that way, I'd like to think that you can understand maybe a little bit more than before I gave my explanation as to why he is number six on this list. So there we go. Now we get to the top five. This is going to be fun. Number five, I have Jalen Hurts. I have Jalen Hurts, now a Super Bowl champion. I feel like, to be quite frank with you, if he continues, I'm not saying he needs to win another Super Bowl this season. I'm not saying that. But if he, has another good season, Philly has another good playoff run, um, and a certain someone doesn't, he's in that top four. I feel like the top four has just been so like consistent and universally like acknowledged that it's Mahomes, now in no particular order, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, and Lamar. It's been those four guys, I feel like that everyone's just like, oh yeah, top four, untouchable. 5 through 15, whatever, interchangeable, whatever. I feel like if Jalen Hurts continues to put up numbers again, not saying he needs to win a Super Bowl, like I said, but has another solid playoff run, he's in that top four, in my opinion. No question. Um, Look, I don't need to say it. I mean, people always give him crap about his regular season numbers through 18 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Um, okay, but do you realize like how many rushing touchdowns he had? He had 14. Tush push, and here's the other thing too. This is more of a Philly critique as well. I feel like the whole team in comparison to just Jalen Hurts. Look, the tush push, people are mad just because they can't do it. People are mad that they don't know how to do that they can't do the tush push as well as Philly. And when Philly does it, they can't stop it. It's not their fault. They have a cheat code. It's not their fault. Perfectly legal. Um, and I think people just wanted to get rid of it because they couldn't stop it. And they just think it's unfair. Like, oh, why are they doing this? I can't do that. Why are you able to grab a guy's cheeks and just push him forward? Like, sorry, it works. It works. And it's effective. Um, and again, a lot of those rushing touchdowns can be attributed to the tush push. Cool. But he has combined 32 touchdowns there to 5 interceptions. So I don't want to hear it. Jalen Hurts is a baller. He's an absolute baller. Um, and I feel no ill will towards him just because he beat the crap out of us in the Super Bowl. They deserve that Super Bowl. And even when we beat him a few years ago, that was a very close game. And Jalen Hurts played like an absolute G in that game too. A lot of people can really just pinpoint one play that was really the deciding factor, and that's when he lost the ball and Nick Bolton scooped it up and took it for six. That was the main difference in the game. If that doesn't happen, Philly could potentially win that Super Bowl, and they are 2-0 against us. That's not what happened, but that could very well have happened. Um, so you got to give him his flowers. I understand he's not throwing it all over the yard like a Mahomes, like a Baker Mayfield, like a Lamar Jackson. Not even so much Lamar, but like a Joe Burrow or a Josh Allen. Like I understand like people like quarterbacks to fling the football. But are we just like taking out of the equation just winning? How about you win, right? Jalen Hurts wins. I understand he has an amazing team around him. That's not his fault. If anything, he should take advantage of that, which he has. And what if he hasn't won? Then they're like, oh, he can't win with a team like that. It's like, okay, if he wins, he gets shit. If he doesn't, he gets shit. And it's messed up. It's not cool. Like, I'm not a Philly fan. I can't stand Philly fans sometimes. Like they get on my nerves. But you know what? I respect the hell out of their team. Sometimes I can't stand Nick Sirianni, but he's a winner. So, at the end of the day, the numbers may not be eye-popping, but they don't need to as long as he's winning and he's making the plays that he needs to win games. And even through that playoff run, he threw 5 touchdowns to 1 interception and rushed for 5 touchdowns. Nine total touchdowns to 1 interception in a playoff run. I'll take that. Even if it doesn't look the prettiest, it doesn't need to. If you're winning, that's what matters. So Jalen Hurts needs to get a little bit more respect from people, I think. And I honestly feel like this next guy, we need to take a second look at him, and that's Joe Burrow. He's the guy that if he misses the playoffs again, or even makes the playoffs, but like ekes in and then they just flame out in the first round, Jalen Hurts goes over Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is a hell of a talent. Absolutely. 100%. The arm talent's there. The success has been there, but not currently. For the longest time, people have been milking Joe Burrow supporters and Joe Burrow fans, and honestly, Patrick Mahomes haters, that for some time, not anymore because Jalen Hurts just beat him in the Super Bowl, but Joe Burrow was the only other quarterback ever to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, aside from Tom Brady. Well, one, that statement is just factually incorrect now, but that happened back in the 2021-2022 season. It's been what, 3, 4 years since that's happened now. And he came back the next year and Patrick Mahomes beat him. And then we went on to win the Super Bowl that year. That also happened. So, what has Joe Burrow done since that season? The 2022 regular season, played 16 games, 4,475 yards, 35 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. It's pretty solid. They made it all the way back to the AFC Championship game. And he actually played well. He played decent in that game. Um, he threw for 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 270 yards. Not great. Sacked 5 times, but they almost won that game. They didn't because Patrick Mahomes got a roughing the passer called against him. It was the right call. You can be mad if you want. Um, then we win off the foot of Harrison Butker. That's happened a lot with us. I'm very grateful to have him as a kicker. Don't necessarily agree with him personally, with his political beliefs. We're not going to get into that, but he needs to reevaluate some shit. That's just me. As a kicker, though, solely as a kicker, he does his job. Um, so they get knocked out there. 2023 season gets hurt, only plays 10 games. They miss the playoffs. This last season, he was fully healthy, played 17 games, 4,918 yards, just do the math. 88 yards shy. Um, right? 82 yards shy. Sorry, math wasn't my strong suit. Threw for 43 touchdowns. Wow. 9 interceptions. They missed the playoffs. They didn't make it. I feel like people are talking like they did. They didn't make the playoffs last season. They started 1-4. Their only win at that time was against Carolina. And then they go on a little bit of a run. They win their last 5 games. But up until that win against Dallas, they had lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games in their first 12 games. So When you're 4-8, your chances aren't that high. Now, he put up some numbers, man. He put up some numbers in those last 5 games. 369 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. 271 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 252 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. 412 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. 277 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Balled out. Completion percentage, insane. 75%, 70.3%, 76.7%, 79.6%. That's a B in MCPS. 80.4%. They missed the playoffs. It's easy to inflate the numbers when you're desperate to put up points. Um, and this is an argument too that I don't hear people making for Dak Prescott. Oh, the numbers are there. Look at them. You know what I also hear when you compare those type of arguments to Dak Prescott? Empty calories. Pat statting. Wait, time out. Stat padding. Sorry. You know what I meant. Why are we not keeping that same energy for Joe Burrow? Why aren't we calling that stat padding? Why aren't we calling that empty calories? Is it just because we like Joe Burrow better than Dak Prescott? I don't know. But it's eerily similar. Now, I think Joe Burrow is better than Dak Prescott, but anytime I hear about Joe Burrow numbers and stuff like that, it's not talked about in the same way like we talk about numbers with Dak Prescott. So either we bring Dak into that conversation or we relax with Joe Burrow. It's one of the two. And I think I know which one people would rather do. Um, honestly, they probably wouldn't want to do either. But I know which one I would do. I would pick the latter. I think we need to ease up on the Joe Burrow hype. Because at the end of the day, look, the numbers are there. I understand. But he hasn't made it to the playoffs in 2 straight seasons. He's been hurt. That's not his fault, but that's something that we eventually need to take into consideration if he can't be available for games. Um, and the slow starts. I mean, you can attribute that to his team. Now, their defense was awful. I can 100% give him that. Um, so just he needs to put up numbers, right? But you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the Patrick Mahomes days when he was there for like the first season or two as a starter, and our defense couldn't stop a cold. Like it was our defense was dog water. We were so bad. And despite that, he made it all the way to the AFC Championship game. He didn't miss the playoffs. That's neither here nor there. We're not talking about Patrick Mahomes yet. So, yeah, that is my opinion on Joe Burrow. I think if he misses the playoffs again, Jalen Hurts continues his play. Jalen Hurts is in the top four. Joe Burrow is out, and you can't convince me otherwise. The only way he stays in that top four is if he makes a really deep playoff run, like he has to. And if Jalen Hurts underperforms this season, then you know a conversation won't be as imminent. But if that doesn't happen and he keeps trending the way he has for the last 2 seasons, he's out. No question about it. Number three, I have Josh Allen. Now, this is really interchangeable. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, 1 and 2, or 2 and 3. Um, I have Josh Allen as number three. I understand he beat Lamar head to head. So people may give him the nod for that. They also probably just think he's a better overall quarterback than Lamar Jackson. Look, the numbers are there. And this can be a 1A, 1B conversation. I'll give you that. He played great this past regular season, 28 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, 12 rushing touchdowns. So combined, 40 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Played pretty well in the postseason as well. Um, beating Denver, which everyone was overhyping that team. Um, Oh, interesting. I haven't like really taken a deep look at Josh Allen's stats. Um, in the divisional round against Baltimore, he had no touchdowns or interceptions. Now, he had two rushing touchdowns, so okay, I gotta give him that. 20 rushing yards. Not an overwhelming performance though by Josh Allen. And then obviously we know what happened in the AFC Championship game. Feel bad for the kicker for the Bills in that game. Man, just can't catch a break, Buffalo fans, can you? Sorry about that. Look, the numbers are there, and we know what we know about Josh Allen. He's a baller. Um, I feel like that top three is pretty locked with Mahomes, Lamar, Allen. Again, in no particular order. That's just my personal order, but it can be mixed with other people's opinions. Absolutely. Um, I just personally prefer Lamar over Josh Allen. I do. Um, I feel like if Mark Andrews catches that ball, it's a rematch in the AFC Championship game against Mahomes and Lamar, and we have a game, right? I mean, we had a game even with Josh Allen. Um, but despite that, though, I still think Lamar is just a better overall quarterback. And his regular season stats were insane. 4,172 yards passing, 41 touchdowns to four interceptions. He only had four rushing touchdowns, which not a career low, um, but he has only averaged less in a full season. That is a career low. The 21 season and the 22 season, he had two rushing touchdowns and three rushing touchdowns, but he only played 12 games both of those seasons. This is his first full season where that's like a low. 41 passing touchdowns. That's that's great. And he didn't even win MVP. It was Josh Allen. And in the playoffs, four touchdown passes to one interception. Again, that was through two games because they lost to Buffalo. We know that. But even in that game against Buffalo, two touchdowns to one interception, 500 or 254 yards, you know. Um, that one play was super tough. We talked about that. He played well against the in the wild card round against Pittsburgh. I mean, we knew they were going to win that game. Um, I just think when it comes to the overall package and the overall threat of Lamar Jackson, him and Josh Allen are similar, but they're so different in so many different ways. I mean, Lamar Jackson, when he approaches you, like if you're like a defensive back or you're a cornerback, like you don't know which way he's going to go. You don't know if he's going to go to the left, to the right. He's going to make you look silly. Josh Allen, you know exactly where he's going to go, but the issue is you don't know if you're going to be able to stop him or not. You know what I mean? Like you're like he's going to be coming right at me, but he'll just put his shoulder down and deck you. Whereas Lamar, he's going to break both of your ankles and leave you at the 40-yard line while he's sprinting towards the end zone. So, and again, Lamar has improved so much as a thrower. That's been a real knock on his career is not being able to throw, but he's there now. You can't dispute it. He's been there for a few seasons now. So that's not an argument that you can pin against him. Um, Regular season or postseason wise, I mean, they've both been to the AFC Championship game, both of them. And they both have played relatively well. I mean, I feel like maybe when you think of the stats, you could say that Josh Allen has performed better. And I mean, he's been in more AFC Championship games as well. Allen has in comparison to Lamar. Um, but I just again, and you can't. This isn't them against Mahomes because Mahomes has beat both of them. He's knocked both of them out of the playoffs. He's only knocked out Lamar one time, whereas Josh Allen has been knocked out four times against Mahomes. Um, that's not the argument though. It's really between Josh Allen. or Lamar Jackson. I just think overall it's so up in the air. And you can really put either Lamar number two and Allen number three, or you could put Josh Allen number two and then Lamar number three. I really think it's that close. I just think personally, when it comes to game planning against a guy, I give the edge to Lamar. I really do, because he's just that big of a threat. They both are. But there's just something about Lamar's game that I just feel like it's really hard to emulate. Very, very hard to emulate. Um, and we've seen guys similar to Lamar, like you think of like a Michael Vick, for example, but he didn't have the success like Lamar Jackson has had up until this point. And you look at a Josh Allen and you try to find a comparison, you're like, okay, is he like Ben Roethlisberger? But he's just a more fit version of Ben Roethlisberger. Early on in his career was reckless with the ball. He's not that reckless with the ball anymore. He's smarter, you know? He uses his legs, he uses his big body to impose. Whereas Lamar Jackson, he isn't a big body, but he's so fast and elusive that you can't even get a finger on him. I think it's so interchangeable. It really is. I have respect for both guys. Um, you know, you go up against both of them as a Chiefs fan, like, I'm terrified of both of them. I think they're both really hard quarterbacks to go up against and game plan against if you're a defense. Um, so I give respect to both guys. Both are MVPs now after this past season, Josh Allen winning it. So they're so closely tied together, even more so now. Um, like I said though, I give the nod to Lamar. I do. Um, that's just me, in my opinion, going into the season. But that can change, you know? We'll see what happens this season. I feel like we say this every season, but I feel like this particular NFL season is going to be such a banger. It really is. I think so. I think a lot of people think so. So it'll be exciting. And we have now arrived to number one, Patrick Mahomes. Um, look, I said this already a little bit, and I don't need to spend too much time on it because you guys know how I feel about Pat. Um, I feel like people get so eager to just move off of him, and it's really annoying. It's really annoying. Um, I understand it though, because a lot of us felt that same way about Brady when he was just winning and winning and winning, and we're like, holy crap, when is this guy going to stop? Look, they were going for a three-peat, something that had never happened ever in NFL history. And they were the closest to getting it. No other team had made it back to the Super Bowl on a three-peat run. That's never happened ever. Um, and they played horrible in that Super Bowl. I understand. I know that the final score was 40 to 22, but at one point it was 34 to 0. We all knew that game was over. Um, respect for them still playing and trying to put up numbers and make it more respectable. And they didn't just like roll over and let Philly take it. They tried to fight. Despite that, um, Patrick Mahomes is the guy to beat. He still is. And you can't tell me otherwise. You can't give me another guy who is that you're not going to say Jalen Hurts. I know damn well you're not going to say Jalen Hurts. I just gave this whole reasoning as to why people need to give him more respect. And that's because nobody still wants to give him that respect. So I know that you're not going to say him. You're not going to say Josh Allen. He's 0-4 against Mahomes in the playoffs. Hasn't beat him. Lamar Jackson, you're not going to say him either because you're not even putting him over Josh Allen yet. Are you going to say Joe Burrow? If you do, I'm going to punch you in the face if you say Joe Burrow. Because again, yeah, he's beaten Mahomes one time in the postseason, came back the next year, lost to him, and hasn't made it to the playoffs since. So you're not going to say him. I can't even think of another guy in the AFC or in the NFC. Brock Purdy, because he went up against him in the Super Bowl. but he lost. You know, I there are so many arguments that people try to make when it comes to trying their best to put Mahomes down and say that he's still not like the top quarterback in the NFL. Yes, he is. And I just told you what they went through this past season, all of the injuries, the pressure of the three-peat, and he still got his team to the Super Bowl. I know it wasn't just him, it was a team effort. We still got Andy Reid, if not the best coach, one of the best NFL coaches currently in the NFL. A killer defense. Our defense was balling out. And even then, with the injuries, skill position players doing their part. Travis Kelce, he had a dip in his play last season, but you know, he's still Travis Kelce, and you got to put respect on his damn name. Um, Xavier Worthy, I mean, he's going to have a great second year. He had one of the better rookie seasons of all the rookies last season, 100%. Um, you know, Kareem Hunt coming back into the fold, really excited to see what he's going to do. Um, you know, full year of training camp. I think his first training camp since what, 2019 with the Chiefs, 2018, 2019. Um, you know, so I understand it wasn't just Pat, but you can't tell me he wasn't the driving force with that. I understand the regular season numbers weren't there. Totally get that. But with the pedigree that he has and those one-to-one matchups with all the other quarterbacks and all the other teams, despite the lackluster regular season stats, you cannot tell me with a straight face that he is still not the top quarterback in the NFL right now. You just can't. And if you try to, you can kick rocks because I feel like at that point, again, acknowledge that this is all subjective. This is just my opinion, but I mean, I just feel like you're hating at that point. I really do, you know? Um, it's just my opinion. I understand that, but man, I mean, you can't tell me that you look at your schedule and you see the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes on there and you're not just like, damn it. I know that's the case. I know that's the case. And if I sound like a toxic Chiefs fan right now, if I sound arrogant, cool. But I feel like I'm right. I really do. There's so many other quarterbacks, so many other teams in the NFL as a Chiefs fan that I highly respect. And when I see them on our schedule, I'm like, oh, damn, that's gonna be a tough game. You give us that same energy too. And you know you do. You know you do. Don't tell me you don't. Don't do that. Don't comment below. That's not true. Don't comment that because I know that's some BS. So I will leave it at that. Thank you all for listening. Very excited for the season coming up. Hope you guys are as hyped up for it as I am. Have some cool content coming down the road. I'm excited though to get back into some NFL content, 100%. If you haven't checked me out already, go to my TikTok at Antonio Chauran. I think it's just I think I did this the last podcast as well. Yeah, sorry. At Antonio Chauran 29. That's my tag. Um, Doing a lot of content now. I feel like I'm getting in a groove. Really excited, really enjoying it. So yeah, follow me on TikTok there. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please click that subscribe button below. And I'll catch you all next time. Peace.